Hello everyone and welcome. We are here, we are live, we are ready to go, and we are picking up with something that I actually had going last stream. Was inserting this infrared telescope. This is the Sentinel infrared telescope that Kerbalism has added some more experiments to. If I go over to the data part of it, the infrared telescope is now gathering science. If I go to the auto, there it is. There is 660 science, but unfortunately it is transmitting it. If I go over to here, it does tell me, yep, at 380 kilobytes per second, and at that transmission rate, it's going to take over 82 years, if you can see that, 82 years to get all of that science. And I put this into orbit into it. I thought was a nice orbit. Let it sort of do its thing, and then somebody immediately commented after the stream, why don't you just put more of these up here, and then they can all collect science and all transmit it back, and you can knock this down significantly. So that's what I'm going to do for the first part of this stream, is update this, launch a bunch more. I think that's something interesting to do. I don't think I've done it live for quite some time, to put multiple probes in a satellite. We're gonna, or into one launch, and spread them out nicely and look at how to do that. And the other thing I want to do, and I hope to get to that in this stream, is to start to improve upon my asteroid moon station that I have in orbit about the moon. Right now it is simply a truss type of structure with a bunch of docking ports on it hooked to an asteroid, and then a great big giant fuel can. And I want to start making it habitable, put science labs and scientific experiments, and have a lander / rover eventually attached to it. It can support that. That can go down to the surface of the moon with a pile of Kerbals and really mine the heck out of those Kerbals. Hello folks, hello Elena, hello Michael. Anyway, so let's just go over though with the plan first with this infrared telescope. So if I just turn off everything, excuse me, about that, here's the orbit that it's in right now, and my plan is to add 8 more of these onto this same orbit. There's no reason for them all to be in the same orbit, nor to be equally spaced apart, but I thought it'd be fun to do that anyway. It'll certainly look nice once it's done, and you do that kind of thing with like a relay type network. So I want to put 8 more up here. I'm going to do that in 2 launches of 4, and we're only going to do one of those 4 live. And then the other launch, which will be identical to the first one, I'll do that between the 2 streams. So it'll all be set up for next week. And I want to space those 8 equally around there. And equally, I want it to look nice with the one that's already there. So there'll be 9 altogether. I want this one to be equally between the 2 that are going to be on either side of that. So we're going to get into a little bit of fiddling around with that. I think that will be fun. And to help facilitate that, it really helps. It doesn't really matter what this orbit is, but it does help from a figuring it out standpoint to put this into an orbit that nicely divides, where the period of that orbit nicely divides into the number of satellites you want to put in there. I hope that makes sense. So let me explain. So if I go over to here to my orbital info, this one is right now in 1 hour, 21 minute, and 58 second. I didn't pay any attention to the period as I was inserting it. But if I made this 1 hour and 20 minutes exactly, that's 80 minutes. And 80 minutes sure does divide by 8 very nicely. Each of the satellites can be 10 minutes apart. It's going to be easier to do the calculating than it is to work out with this. So my first job is I want to reduce this orbit actually increase the orbit, just slightly, so that the period is 1 hour and 20 minutes right on the button. And in fact, although KSP here gives me the period to the second, I know if I open up Kerbal Engineer right here and get into editing this HUD up here, if I go to orbital information, there's orbital period there. We'll move that up so it's with the rest of the orbital info above that. Scroll this up a bit, above that little break. I know all of this writing is all really small, but here it is. So there's that's my acceleration. I pushed the wrong button. Oh my gosh. Orbital period. Da-da-da-da. How did I end up with acceleration? Am I just crazy? It's here. It's not here. There should be an orbital period. I'm on orbital. Maybe I will be using the stock one. Orbital speed. That should be one of the most basic ones. Post-burn. I feel like I'm missing some stuff here. Let's just look at this one more time. I feel like I just did something really dumb. So edit that HUD. Orbital speed. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time with this because it's not necessary, but it really is annoying that I do not see orbital period. I see post-burn period and stuff like that. It's not already here, right? Is it on the other side? No. It's got to be under... Maybe it's under vessel? It can't be under vessel. That would make no sense. Okay, something weird is happening why I don't have periods. So it looks like I might be using the stock one. All right. All right. Something to figure out for later. I'm going to be using this period down here. Now, I did do some figuring, and I wrote it down, that if I put it into an orbit of 672.6 kilometers, that should work out just fine. Why does that mean it looks like I'm lowering my... Lowering will speed me up, which gets the... Yes, of course, I'm lowering the orbit. Lowering makes you faster, which gives you a lower period. I can do this. Okay, now we're going to be tweaking these spiders down a lot, I think. If I just put that... Does that do all of them? Oh, you stinker. Because we're going to have to do some fine adjusting here. I'll put them all over here. Unfortunately, adjusting one doesn't seem to want to do all of them. So we'll go 30, 30, 30, and 30. Okay. So I want this periapsis. What's my number again? 672.6 kilometers. Okay. So let's just burn a little bit. 672.6. I want to get this as precisely as I can. 672.6. Going very slow here. Now I have limited ignitions, something to be aware of too. That's close enough. Okay. And in fact, I'm going to even... Now, let's keep them at 30 for now. How many ignitions are still left on these? Somewhere... 60 ignitions. What am I worried about? Oh my gosh. All right. So anyway, that is that. And let's get down there to our apoapsis or periapsis. And I also, well, here, let's do this, finish this off first. I was also thinking about radiation belts, and I did check to make sure that this altitude was above the radiation belts because I don't want to suddenly put this thing into an area where its electronics are going to get all messed up. Okay. All right, we're going to lock this on prograde. And instead of looking at apoapsis, oh no, retrograde, silly, retrograde, there we go. Instead of looking at my apoapsis, which I also want to get down around the same. What's more important to take a look at is the orbital period. I want to knock this down to 1 hour and 20 minutes to the nearest second. This is going to be my last look at Kerbal Engineer that there isn't a... Edit that HUD. I feel like I'm missing something really obvious. But I do not see orbital period in there. Okay, forget it. Forget it, forget it, forget it. Got to get and do our burn. All right, so, yep. So I'm just going to burn in a retrograde direction. I'll have to do that later. Until this says 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 0 seconds. So here we go. And again, I'm going to take my time. But it's the period that's more important of the two numbers, as opposed to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Do a little more. There we go. Pretty happy with that. And like that, this isn't exact. You'll never get it exactly circular, so I'm never going to worry about that. But now it's in a nice period that will facilitate me putting in some more things. It should also be tucked in nicely, just barely. It's hugging around the perimeter of that radiation belt, but that's okay. But it's above that one, and it's below this one. This one starts at this zone here, well below. It's not in, this is the region of the belt. So good, good, good. Let's get to the Space Center and see if we can launch 4 more of these. It's already in the HUD, I'm seeing in the chat. Am I just blind? Well, what else is new? Of course I'm just blind. It's already in the HUD. And somebody says, I think he knows. And I'm like, I don't think I know. I don't think I know that at all. Can I see it from here? I can't adjust it from here. We'll be back out there. We'll look some more. Yep. Okay. So, into the VAB I go. So we're going to open up that old infrared telescope, which I think I just called the Octo Infra or something like that. There it is. Octo 2 Infra. There. Load. Okay, so this is the one that's up there now. And we're going to start with, we're going to take this booster, we're going to completely chuck it away. That is not of any use to us. And I'm going to rename this. I just got lost with my numbers. This is the Octo 2 probe core, and I was numbering, you know, the first satellite with the Octo 2 on it was the Octo 2-1, and then the Octo 2-2, and then I lost track of the numbers because it was a long time since the last one. And then I looked, and that infra, I went through my old missions, should have been the Octo 2-5, so this is going to be the Octo 2-5B. There we go. So that's its new name. All right, we are going to need to modify this, and one of the main things we're going to do is it doesn't need nearly this much delta V, because it's going to be in a carrier vehicle. It's going to get dropped into an elliptical orbit, and then all it needs to do is circularize itself. And I did do, again, some working out in the interim, and I got 186 meters per second of delta V this thing needs. So it doesn't need this much at the bottom anymore. Instead, what it's going to get is I'm going to take the, here, let's arrange these fuel cans by mass. That was the Oscar B, but Restock gives us one that's half the size. This is the Oscar A, that's half the size as the Oscar B, and then on the bottom of that, I think I can get away with just a single ant engine, just like so. And so that gives me, yeah, thrust to weight of 0.3, which is fine, 212, which is above the 186 I need. So I think I'm just going to do that. Now I am going to clean this up a little bit, but we're not going to do too much to it. I'm going to move this antenna because I want to get it in a fairing, and things that are sticking out so don't help with that. So I'm going to get a cubic octagonal strut. We'll stick that there. We're going to take the antenna. You're going to want to go on there, aren't you? There we go, like that. And I'm just going to tuck it in. If I extend the antenna, tuck it in just a little bit more, just before it starts clipping into stuff. I can actually go up a bit so it's centered, and I can bring it in a little bit more. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. And actually, speaking of antennas, yeah, I could use a beefier antenna. Unfortunately, this is the fastest antenna I have, which does limit how quickly it can transmit science, unfortunately, but I got what I got, so that's kind of what it is. Now, in the interim, speaking of antennas, I did install another mod here called the Kerbalism Companion Calculator, which is all about calculating signal strengths and antenna speeds. data transmitting speeds. And signal strengths I already understood. In fact, I did a video on that quite some time ago, and I got it on a spreadsheet. So I've always understood how signal strength worked. I always used to assume that all the game did was whatever was your fastest antenna, that is going to determine what your data rate is. But the data rate is also a function of the signal strength. And in fact, when the signal strength starts getting below 80-90%, the data rate drops off dramatically. So that's something to be kind of aware of. So for instance, this little planner here is telling me if I'm around Moho, right now I would have an 85.56 signal strength. And that would bring my data rate from 380.3, which is its maximum, down to 149.2, like less than half of it. And I could fix that by putting on 2 of these, which would improve the signal strength, and you can see that brings up my data rate. So it's nice that you got a little mod here to calculate it for you, but the problem is around Kerbin, and they don't give you a Kerbin as an option, so I'm just going to select the moon. The data rate from 2 of them is exactly the same as the data rate from 1 of them. 1 of them does not give you, because my signal strength is already at 100% even with 1, so putting on another one does not affect the data rate. And in fact, if you start getting into other antennas, this is the part I wasn't aware of. But let's say I did something like put on a Communitron here, which is a much slower antenna. Look what happened to my data rate. And it does what's called a geometric mean. People are probably used to the arithmetic mean, which is like the average, what people think of as the average. You add things together and divide by how many things you have. The geometric mean is you multiply your numbers together and divide by how many numbers that you have. And what it's doing is it's taking this antenna speed and this antenna speed, multiplying them together and dividing by 2. And then there's some other constant that's involved that I'm not gonna, well, I can't speak to, because I don't remember. But that's why this comes down so dramatically. So in fact, this antenna is bringing down my speed, which frankly, I don't see how that makes sense. I can understand that if it doesn't do much, but I don't understand why it actually brings it down. So it's actually worse. This is the fastest I can get with the antenna sets that I have, which I don't really understand, but it is what it is. It's a nice little mod though. Kerbalism Companion Calculator. It's not going to help me out in this situation though, because what I had was the best situation that I got. What can you do? Anyway, that's that. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to pack 4 of these all together. So underneath this, I'm going to put a decoupler like so, and we're going to put it inside a 2.5 meter fairing like so. We're not going to build the what you call it? I can say words. We're not going to build the fairing shell yet. Oh my gosh. But what we are going to do is we're going to turn on the interstage nodes to give us a whole pile of new nodes. And then I'm going to grab this. Oh, we have to... Actually, it helps if you make the fairing the root part here. There we go. And now I can grab this whole guy. And we got a little node up here, and we can put that up there. The problem is, after just 2, right, I don't have any, I've run out of nodes. I can't put another one up here. So that's a little bit disheartening. I didn't want to, just do 2 at a time. Then to do 8, I'd have to do 4 launches. I don't want to do 4. I want to get 4 of these on here. But of course, what you can do, get another fairing, turn it upside down, put on the interstage nodes on that, grab this again. There is satellite number 3. Actually, what I also should do is, while I'm at it, put this force percentage right down. So we don't want these things really being pushed off when we deliver them. Okay, and in fact, I'm going to grab this and move it up. And then we could get another one and put it under here, and there's 4. Now, the problem that I have now is I would probably at this point want to start putting in some sort of vehicle down here at the bottom. Like if I just grab another probe core, but there's no more nodes. So I'm out of nodes, but you kind of know what I need to do then. I need to take this off temporarily. Actually, what I can do is just copy this. Put that down there. Don't build that fairing. That goes like that. And now I got a node underneath here that I can start attaching junk to. Actually, what I should be doing is putting on another decoupler. And I'm going to stop and pause for a second and make sure that I am making some degree of sense. Like that. And then under that, I can do things like another set of reaction wheels would probably be a good idea. Advanced inline stabilizers. Probably a KOS scriptable control-y dude. That. Honestly, I think that's about it. To make a little... So there you go. There they all are. So boom, I could just build fairings across all that. We're going to... But now, of course, what I need to do is get all of this mess into orbit. So we need to build a transfer vehicle. And I worked out the orbit that I want to use as my phasing orbit to drop off these satellites. You'll see how that all works if you've never seen that kind of stuff before. But this thing needs, again, I wrote it down somewhere, to get itself in from an 80-kilometer low Kerbin orbit up to the orbit I want requires 422 meters per second. I'd like to add about 1,000 to that so this can deal with the upper stage of the orbital insertion. So I'm looking at around, I don't know, 1,500 meters per second. So what I did, got into my fuel tanks. Let's arrange these by names. I did play with this a little bit in the interim just to make sure it worked, that I wasn't wasting everybody's time. I took one of these. Oh, we're going to turn off these nodes here. Interstage nodes. So I don't have those nodes there anymore. This is one of those 1.875 meter parts. And then under that, I believe this guy fit really well. And then under that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I put a Terrier engine. How much delta V is that giving me? Oh, let's check my staging too, because I'm sure this is a freaking catastrophe. Put all the fairing bits below. That will stage... Oh, I don't need to ever stage that. I don't need a decoupler there. What am I doing? Get rid of you. Well, now I got to put those interstage nodes back on. Never ever be. There we go. I just want to check this staging, make sure it makes some degree of sense. All those fairings will go on. Well, they might go on after, but yeah, this will be dealt with all individually. So that's 1,252, and I was looking, what did I say? Around, I need a little bit more. A little bit more. Oh, I know what I did. I'm going to grab for just a little bit more these little, very cute R4 dumplings. Right there. Here. Put that. Two-way symmetry. What's that going to get me? 1363. Yeah. Maybe a little more fuel. Oh, I gotta get... You can see why I gotta turn these interstage nodes off. Let's see. How about if I got another one of... Might be modifying my plan on the fly again. What else is new? What if I stuck in that guy? What about this guy? That's too much. I don't want it to have too much. So, yeah, that's too much too. How about just more of these dumplings? If I went 4. 1470, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That's pretty good. Thrust away to 0.92. That will be fine. It can deal with the upper part of the insertion as well. Let's kind of tuck these in just a little bit. So they look not quite so goofy. Maybe a battery tucked in here would be a good idea too, now that I'm looking at this. Probably a Z200 will be fine. This thing, there's all the batteries that are all up here too that it can live off of on the way up. I'll probably deorbit this thing when it's all said and done. But I think that's looking okay. I want an antenna. This just needs to be a... Oh, it can just be a Communitron 8. Don't need anything special. There we go. Extend that antenna. There we are. Okay, so I'm thinking this is gonna do it. And then we got to put a booster under this to make this all go upwards. Let's clean things a little bit. This looks really sketchy, so I don't know if I need them, but I'm just gonna put in. Oh, can I might not. No, it doesn't like. Okay, so these are all gonna have to go all the way up to here. That's okay. That I gotta think. Is that gonna be in the way of release? I'm sure I can wiggle it out of there. Let's take this. This is going to be my main guy that's going to do most of the work. So we're going to give it a boot file, put it up to 10. These other ones, I'm going to have a lot of processors on here. Actually, I'm going to run boot file number 2, which doesn't include the launch script. Launch will be handled by the one at the bottom there. Oh my gosh. I'm a little worried about wiggling out between all these struts. I got a better idea maybe. Let's go to let's go to radial symmetry. I'm just leaving myself a little bit more of a gap on the side. I'm not sure. Maybe the struts are physicless. They might be. But either way, it doesn't hurt to... Oh, don't stick to the... Oh boy, there we go. I just think this is looking very wobbly to me. All right, let's build some fairings. Building fairings. So, this guy. There we go. Oh. I go in a little bit too close there. And I'm not giving myself... There we go. Oh, for goodness sakes, close it off. There. Okay, and 4 parts. Up that force up a lot. These are big fairings. And then a fairing down this way. That'll go just straight to here. Are you gonna let me close that, or do I have to go straight down? There we go. Again, 4 parts. I might put this just to a very quick test. And then 1 more fairing here. It's gonna go straight down. Oh, I think the struts are messing this up a little bit. That's okay. To come out a little bit and then close in. Close it. That'll work. Oh, the interstage trusses are physicsless. The struts are not. Thank you, Michael. So, but I think I've left myself a little bit... I think I've left myself enough wiggle room I can wiggle this fella out. Alright, so, I don't know. This is looking... Oh, you know what else this needs? This most certainly needs some form of illumination. There, these guys. No, it won't let me... Let's put these here. I think it needs illumination of some kind. If I put these on, I'm hoping that will light up that whole thing. And then I'll do one here, up here, lighting downwards. Yeah. And then this one. Okay. So Some illumination like that. I think I'm pretty sure that should do it. Oh, and action groups at... I want to activate on 0. Toggle that antenna. Oh, I also have... Okay, these are the bigger HG61 antennas. We'll toggle each of those manually as we deploy the satellites. And most of... I don't want all of these ones to deploy. Maybe just the bottom one. So which one? That's the bottom one. So all the rest of these, we'll just deploy them all manually. That will power the whole thing until the end. All right. This is going to be a thing. Interesting the DV didn't... That's because I got the fairings all being... It's being the comment that the DV did not change with the fairings, but that's because I have all the fairings deploying at the same time as the engine, so it's not counting their weight. So if I put the weight down here, right, that doesn't change the DV, but if I put it above the engine, so this engine goes first, now I take a knock on the DV. That reminds me, they need to go into an action group as well. Action group 5. All these fairings are going to deploy. And whether they'll deploy before or after that engine, I actually don't know. Probably not. Probably just before would be my guess. So I'm going to take all of these out of the staging, because they're going to all be staged with an action group. Okay. That can go. That, and these will all get... Okay. All right, okay, now what we need is we need a booster. Now I got something here. What's the mass of this whole conflagration? It is 8.5 tons, so I'm gonna go to my booster collection. My booster collection here. Arrange these all by mass. And I got payloads written down. Now, this is handling part of the ascent. So... Oh, did I ever write down? Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. 422 plus 3,600. If I can get up around 4,000, it should be okay. So 4,000 meters per second. So let's grab this fella. Oh, no, no, no. You're an ugly beast. No. Cancel. That is too ugly for words. I grabbed them based on this, but as soon as I got a look at it, I went, no, no, don't like you. How about this one? Oh, this is a familiar, but this is the one that lifts up my little space. Now, I know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think this will work. What I'm going to do, I'm going to lose this. Okay, we're going to come up in here. I want this fairing. We're going to lose all of this. Put a decoupler under there. Decouplers. That one. And delete this fairing for now. I just wanted that fairing base because I'll clearly want to close this all off. Under this, it has an upper stage, which I don't need, so I'm going to lose that, get that. Oh, this is getting wackier. This is the part I want. Oh, I'm going to have to do some modifying to this for sure. Okay, is this sensible? No. That is sensible, though I got to clean this up a lot. Okay. This gives me a total of... Oh, that's not even close. What was I thinking about? I was thinking that was going to do... Okay, I need a bigger one. Oh, wait, 4,000? No, this is good. I was looking at the wrong number. It's because this one puts the total on the bottom. This one puts the total... 4,100... That should be good. 460... Yeah, that should be good. This should be good, the required delta V. All I need to do... I'm going to clean this up, though. That's all. So this is coming off. I don't need this big one, but I do have a 1.875 meter one. That should close this off nice. And then that should sit nice. Oh, that looks beautiful. We can lose that shroud because it's inside there. In fact, I think I'm going to just take this right out of the staging altogether. There. That's the whole thing. What do you think? Is this going to fly? We'll find out pretty soon, I guess. I did put the reaction wheels there. We'll give her a test launch. But I'm thinking we're on the verge of something. Okay, let's make sure the staging makes some sense. It does. Okay, I'm getting ready for a test launch. Let's adjust the lower stage thrust to weight. Come down a lot. Not a lot, but a little bit. That's good. Okay. All right, let's see what happens. We'll do a simulation. So we're going to open up our crash simulator. Yeah, we'll pick up a lot of delta V once the fairing is gone too. Fins for center of drag, that's very true. It didn't have fins to begin with, so we'll see how it flies. But yeah, if this flips out, we're going to put fins on the bottom of it. Or maybe another set of reaction wheels. But this is just our first test. There is, oh, and I got the, I switched this into, oh, I have way too many of these. Oh, frick. Okay, I'll have to just close one. Oh my God, it's doing all of these. Okay. All right, oh, this is good. Okay. Yeah, this is the crash simulator on wireframe mode. I'm not sure if this was smart or not, but it's what it is. So let's do a test launch. We're going to run our launch program. 0 inclination, 80-kilometer orbit, normal attitude on the way up. We'll see how this goes. And we're off. Okay, so first step's good. I'm looking for stability and wobbliness. It seems pretty good, stiffness-wise. Okay. Can't you just revert the flight? Yeah, I could just revert the flight. Somebody's at, like, if I were playing in a stock game and didn't use the simulator, I would simply just revert the flight back to launch or back to the VAB during my testing. But I do like the crash simulator because it very neatly separates testing from the actual flight. So if I actually decide I'm going to do the flight and suddenly something goes wrong, I live with what happened, right? Here, if something goes wrong, I'm clearly in a simulation. And also, it's costing me money up here. Right now, it's 3,300 Kerb bucks and climbing. So, you know, I can't just keep doing simulations. It forces me at some point to just say, no, I'm going to be done. But definitely, if I was playing a stock game, I would not do a I would just do, you know, launch and revert. And people were talking about stability. There you go. Something went astray there. Okay, so we're going to revert back, terminate the simulation. I saw it start to lose. I guess somebody's internet died. Now they're back, and I'm making it. It's not an interplanetary ship. It's just a crap load of satellites. Is what this is. So we did lose. It did start losing stability, I noticed there. So I am going to add on some itty bit. I think I can get away with just the basic tail fins down here at the bottom, like so. And that's for the, yeah. I mean, it's always deceptive because this great big fairing is a lot of drag too. And you know what else? I noticed it came apart up here. I'm going to use a little bit of auto strutting. I'm going to grab this and auto strut that to, I'm going to go to the grandparent part. I think that's a safer, and that just clumps all of these fairings into, oops, what am I doing? There's that just clumps all of these fairings sort of into one part, if you know what I mean. Oh, that one's already been done. This one. Grandparent part. And oh, and you know what? Right down. We'll live with this. I think that connection might be okay. All right, so that. Okay, we're going to give this another test. So save that, and we'll run our simulator again. I'm being asked, what am I trying to do? I have 4 satellites that I'm going to want to put into orbit around Kerbin, equally spaced in an orbit with a period of 80 minutes. That's the goal. And then between the 2 streams, I'm going to put in the other 4. So a total of 8. And all of these are up there just to collect science as quickly as they can. That's the goal. So, do people like the... Oh, I forgot it does all this. There. Get to the one that says pre-launch, and I know I'm on the one that has the launch program on it. Okay. So again, we'll run launch 080 and so it came apart. Hopefully this time it won't come apart. Do people like the wireframes for this, or would you rather me turn them off? Let me know in the chat, or if you're watching this at a later time, you can let me know in the comments. Makes it a little harder to see, but it makes it very, very clear that this is a simulation. I'm getting told in the craft that Way of Crazy is saying that my guide, my orbital craft, that's my most popular video. I'm assuming you're referring to Wea. Yeah, I made that video a few years ago. And it flies. I mean, I had no trouble flying it, but maybe that wasn't the best thing for a tutorial video, to build something that I have no trouble flying and build something that everybody should have no trouble flying. If you are on that video, there is a pinned comment saying how you can make it more stable at the top of the comments of that video. Or you can look at my more recent series where I redo the getting into your first orbit tutorial video again, and build something that I think is a lot more easy to fly. So if you, but I do get the comment that people are having trouble with it flipping out. Yeah, well, I didn't intend it to be that way. I built it, it flew for me, and then I realized, you know what? That was one of my earliest tutorials. I realized, yeah, you know, just because I can fly it. And I'm not trying to brag or anything here. I've played this game for over 10 years. So, you know, it's a little different, my experience, than other people's experience. Okay, I do like all the colors on this here. It looks very weird. Okay, let's see. So, I think we are past sort of our max Q, our moment of greatest aerodynamic pressure, and we didn't flip out or break apart, so that's a good sign. But in the meantime, I think we're doing okay. My plane tutorial is great. Well, thank you, Wea. I got a new plane tutorial too. Those tutorials are like 2 or 3 years old, and they were back when I made my first tutorial videos, so take them for what they are. I learned from people's comments from those, one of which was that a lot of people do have trouble with them flipping out. Alright, I think this is doing pretty good. The internet keeps dying. I'm hoping it's not on my end. ZOMG saying his internet is dying on him all the time. I'm hoping that's him, not me. Not that I would hope that on anybody, but if it's me, it's happening to everybody. Oh, look at this. It's already... Oh my gosh. This thing definitely has some... So it just cut the thrust and could no longer hold that prograde vector. And it cut the thrust. Oh, no, it aborted because it... Okay, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. No, it aborted the thrust. Okay. So I'm going to have to give it more thrust on the bottom end. Ah, that's my launch script. It didn't like it felt it was too far off. Okay, let's terminate. I thought it maybe reached apoapsis. No, it was too far off of the prograde vector. It didn't like it. And my stupid script went, nuh-uh-uh. Me no like what's happening here. Me gonna abort. So, the solution to that is more thrust. This is taking longer than I would have guessed. So let's put this up to 1.38 launch thrust. See what that does. This is taking a little bit of guessing now. This is a perfect example of something that if I was doing it manually, I would have just kept going. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing. But now I'm kind of, oops, nope, 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 nope. Now I want to get it to work with my program. So my program didn't like it. My program ain't too smart. And if I can't get it to work with the program, I might just try it manually. This might be one of these ones you might want to just kind of, if you're having trouble with it flipping out on you and having trouble with aerodynamic stability, although it's less fuel efficient, one solution to that is to not pitch over so quickly, to go up more steeply and get yourself out of that lower, thicker part of the atmosphere more quickly. That might be the solution for this vessel. All right. Third time's a charm, right, everybody? Third time's a charm. Let's see. Being asked in the what's the current mission from William? Current mission is there are 4 infrared telescopes on these things. I want to insert them into high orbit about Kerbin, all equally spaced from each other. They don't have to be equally spaced from each other, but I kind of want to do that. But right now we're just in the testing phase of this because they take up a lot of room, and that is one ginormous fairing all over them. Well, I'm glad you made it there, Brennan. Which version of KSP? I'm playing the most recent version of KSP, 1.12.3, the final version of KSP. So now with more thrust here on here, this should be sticking on that prograde vector better. Let's see. Are SSTOs even practical in real life? Well, there doesn't exist a real life one. It's all about engine efficiency. It's about getting some engine that is reasonably efficient both in the atmosphere and a vacuum, and that is no small task. To be honest, I think in the real world, the most efficient system is what you're seeing from SpaceX. They're recovering most of their equipment. It would be wonderful if they could recover that upper stage. But the problem with an SSTO, and this is the same trouble with the space shuttle, quite frankly, is all of those wings and fuselage and extra strength and all the stuff you have to do to make that thing be able to glide back down to the surface, that is weight. And weight means you got to make it bigger and more expensive in order to get that thing out into space. You know, a rocket like the Falcon 9 is, you know, doesn't have nearly all of that infrastructure that it has to carry up, yet it still comes back and lands and is reusable. It still is. I can see it drifting off of this prograde vector. I could probably adapt the program so it doesn't do that. At 40 kilometers, I don't want to adapt the program though. At 40 kilometers, it's going to lock onto prograde, and that should end the problem of it wanting to. Look how far it's from the prograde vector. It does not like that, I can guarantee it. Okay, now it's going to lock the prograde at 40. No, it aborted again. Oh, okay, I'm just going to fly this. Just going to fly it. No, I don't want to fiddle with it anymore. Let's just restart the simulation. We're going to close KOS. I can't blame KOS. It's my dumb launch script. If I didn't have the abort, it probably would have handled it just fine. Okay, we're going to do a test launch, and if I can do a test launch, I'm going to do it for real. But we're going to do this manual. It's going to be manual. A manual, because my script is not good enough to handle this whacked out rocket. Okay, Z there. And I'm just going to, yeah, punch it. Off we go. And I'm going to go up fairly straight, like a fairly steep ascent. Put that on there. Because I know aerodynamically this thing is questionable, and if I drift too far from the prograde air, I'm going to start knocking over now a little bit. If I drift too far from that prograde vector, it ain't going to like it. I can guarantee that. Let's lock that onto prograde. Try and keep it right on a heading of 90 degrees. I'm just going to kind of gingerly coax this thing into orbit. It needs coaxing. It needs gentle, loving care. I'm going up very straight. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, this is what happens when I... Okay, okay, let's terminate. Okay, we got to think about this. Yeah. I drifted too far from the prograde vector, too low, and I was trying to get it. Oh, I'm not pitching over quite fast enough. I should pitch over more quickly, and that was my mistake. That was my mistake. Yeah, bigger fins is likely the solution. Also, just being more gentle on the way up. So, what is my delta V? 4160. It should be fine. Yes, I should be fine. Should be lots. So we're gonna go to bigger fins. I don't want the air. I don't think control is a problem. I just think, here, let's go with these fellas. I don't need control surfaces because I got this gimbaled engine. That should be fine. And I'm gonna go back to reducing this thrust some more. Oh my gosh. 52. Okay, that's fine. Save this. Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. I keep wanting to launch. Okay. They're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. This is the one. This is the one. So, I learned from that mistake. Do not drift too far. This guy does not like it. Do not drift from the prograde vector. How is the center of mass and center of lift? Brandon says, I'm sure they're terrible. So we're just going to have to be careful. You can't 100% trust the center of lift and center of mass that it shows you in the VAB. I know ginormous fairings. I mean, I could put on the aerodynamic overlay and we can actually take a look, but I know, we're going to close all this. I know that this ginormous fairing is one big giant lifting problem. It's there's just a crap ton of drag up at the top here. And that's what throws it off. So as soon as you start coming off of that prograde vector a little bit too much, especially if you get outside of the little yellow circle, it's going to want to, that drag is just going to want to pull it all the way around. So, but I'm bound and determined. This stinkier is going to do it. It's going to fly for me. And I'm just going to kind of, there, lock it on prograde. No more mucking about. I don't care what the ascent profile is. I don't care about any of that. I want to keep it on a heading of about 90 though. But I'm not going to try. I'm coming up very steeply, but I don't care. I want it to just stay on prograde. Stay on prograde. There we go. Stay on prograde and everything should be fine. Oh, for goodness sakes. Okay, that's not fine then. Wow. Alright, it's time to get... That time I did nothing. I didn't touch the controls. It was just locked prograde. So I am going to have to think about I am going to have to think about center lift and center mass. Does KSP calculate drag differently for fairing? I don't know exactly what it does, but I know in the VAB, like this center drag way down here, it's only looking clearly at the fins. It's not considering all of this stuff up here at all. I can tell from where that ball is. There's no way that's where the center of drag is. Absolutely none. So, let's see here. More fins. Maybe I should get into the control surfacey ones. I mean, it's not going to hurt. Oh, let's take a look at what we got. We got relative wing area 0.65. This one's relative wing area. These ones have a bigger relative. Yeah, it's clearly only showing me the drag from these guys. So this is a useless ball that's not really helping at all. So we're just gonna have to just deal. I'm gonna turn the authority limiter down on these. Is there an extra texture on these? Oh, that's better. I really shouldn't be worrying about texture when I can't even get it to fly, but you know, there it is. Oh, how about putting 9? Yeah. That's a very good. William's saying some of them there vector engines. Actually, those Werner. I don't know if that's what you're referring to with the 9 engines, or if that's a Falcon 9 idea. Those Werner engines might help. A little bit more attitude. There's a lot of attitude control you get from that skipper that's at the bottom because of the gimbaling. I know what I should do. I got me a plan. We're going to use the best of both worlds here. I'm going to run my launch script because it certainly did fine for the first bit of all this. And then I'm going to take control. That is what I'm going to do. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to put SAS on and I'm going to throttle this up a bit. Because when you abort from the script, it reverts back to the state it was in. So I definitely want to have all that in. So what I'm going to do is let the script deal with the first part, because it seemed to do that very, very well. And then I'll deal with the later part. How's that for an idea? Ha ha ha. No dummy here. No dummy here. Yeah, those vector engines, those sort of space shuttle-like engines. Yeah, they do have an insane vector range. That is true. I'm hoping this is going to be okay. See, I could put on aerodynamic overlay. Is that just... I don't think that helps. Let's keep that off. So what we're going to do is let it handle the whole top bit of this, and then I'm going to take control from it. That's going to be the plan. That is going to be the plan. This is turning into more work than I thought it was going to be. Who knew that 3 fairing bases would be a problem? That having a rocket where 2/3 of it's fairing. I don't see what the problem is. Alright, this is the one. I think I said that the last 3 ones, though. Oh, empty the bottom tank first. Unfortunately, it's just one big tank, but that is true. I could decrease the flow priority. That's something to try. Yeah, I don't know if it'll make a huge difference because... oh, increase the flow priority. I'm doing it backwards. Because it is mostly just one big tank. I could split this into multiple tanks, but that's a very good suggestion in the chat. Fortunately, the mass, you can only get it up so much forward because there's not that much rocket here to deal with, right? Okay, so far so good. It's when this prograde just started. I really should be giving this more thrust at this point. So maybe that's the plan. So I'm gonna Control C, I think does this. S and lock the prograde. No, you stinker, lock the prograde. Don't you even... No! Back on the prograde vector. As soon as I went off, the SAS was off. Lock the prograde and go. We're here. We're back. We're back. That's not elegant, but we're back. That was when I knocked this off, and before I could get control of the rocket, let's lower our thrust here a little bit. We are pretty low in the atmosphere, unfortunately. So we can pitch up a little bit. Oh, I guess I just lost that stage. I'm assuming it knows what it's doing. More thrust. Fortunately, that little stunt left us a little low in the atmosphere, but if I can get this into orbit after all this nonsense... Okay, let's lose... Now, let's hang on to the fairing... I don't know. Weight versus aerodynamics. It's a lot of weight. Let's lose it. Oh, shoot! I just staged every probe. I'm so in... Oh my gosh, terminate. So what happened there? I went to deploy the fairings, and instead of hitting the 5 action group, I hit the stage button, which staged every probe. Every probe. You know what we're going to do? I'm tired of this taking as long as it is. What's it like? I'm going to warp to daylight, because I think it's still nighttime outside. We're going to do it. We're just doing it. I don't care. Check your staging. It wasn't so much a staging thing, but what I did is I put the fairings onto an action group because that's what the program likes. And then, but I like staging. But I have to remember that it's not in the staging. That was funny. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to click on this. We're going to grab the Octo. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Whatever. We're going to live with what happens. It's only money. The Octo 25B. Is our craft. We're going to launch this. Dan says, obviously his launch script has nothing to do with Mike's. Yeah, I am running into flaws with the launch script. The problem with my launch script is it's dumb. In that it's not dynamic. It doesn't know what the rocket's really doing. It's not sitting there and saying, boy, it would be a good idea to give more thrust here because we are falling away from our prograde vector. It doesn't notice that. So that's the unfortunate thing of it. I'm not that good a programmer. Okay, so here we go. Now we can see it in the glory of the daylight. No more reverts. Okay, so again, the SAS doesn't... You know what? I think it's better to keep the throttle off at this point. I think that was part... Maybe not. Let's put this at half throttle. It puts the throttle back when I board the program, but it doesn't put the SAS on. That's what I noticed there. Okay. Now we can see it in all of its glory. All of its glory. And I see in the chat, oh shoot, we're live. We are live. And also we are doing this launch. This is not a simulation. This is the launch. If stuff goes wrong, stuff goes wrong. But I don't care. I got lots of money. See, I can throw money away. 3.7. This is the Elon Musk strategy of just sort of, let's just do it and see what happens and learn. Right? But he has, you know, it's great when you have all that money. All right. Hello, Javier, and welcome. Okay, now I am going to have to, especially once we get around the 25-kilometer range. That's when my script starts to have issues. It's actually when it reduces that throttle. That's the part I think it's reducing that throttle too early. That's my humble opinion. Put this on here. Okay. So I'm going to get ready to abort this script. I'm going to try and get this thing into orbit. I'm going to remember not to try and stage the fairings. You know, I never even tested the deployment of the fairings. That itself could be a disaster for all I know. This is turning into a ill-conceived... Okay, now this is where it gets into trouble, right? Because now its thrust is too low. So what we're going to do... Yeah, its thrust is too low. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Control-C. There. Lock the prograde, lock the prograde. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Yes, 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 yes! More thrust, more thrust, more thrust. Oh my gosh, I did that fast enough. I did it fast enough. Okay, I want to pitch up just a little bit. Not a lot, though. Because we're still, it's a little low in the atmosphere. But... oh boy. It wants to flip around backwards. It really, really does. Okay, I just lost that stage. That was a smart part that did that. All right. We're coming out of this. I'm going to remember not to stage the fairing, that the fairings are done with Action Group 5, I believe is what they should be set to. So we're going to lock this now onto prograde. Start reducing this thrust a little bit. Lord, you know what? I'm so close to 80 kilometers. I think my better plan is to hang on to the fairings for now and let's ride out of the atmosphere with them. So we'll be cutting this throttle pretty soon. Well, actually, no, we're at almost this. Okay, 5, not stage, 5. Woo! Okay, I never put on clamshell deploy, so that's a good thing. Hey! Okay. Further than we've ever gone before. See, all I had to do is get out of simulation mode, do it for real, and really, that forced me to think about what I'm doing here. Okay. So I'm almost at 80 kilometers on the apoapsis. Got it. Okay. Lights on. Almost out of the atmosphere where aerodynamics no longer matter. So that was a pretty ugly deploy. There we are. We'll put on some stuff here. I should have an antenna here too, right? That came out. Yeah, right? Somewhere in here is an antenna. I know it's just a little fella, but there it is. Yep. Okay, coming up to, yeah, we're a minute from, just over a minute. It's the advantage. The advantage is doing this for realsies. Well, you know, pseudo realsies. Okay, I'm just going to keep this locked on the prograde, and we're just going to got minus 200 on the periapsis because I did have a lot of throttle there at the end. I wasn't, and we'll just start pushing this up. Ooh, I don't know how many ignitions are on this fella. 21. Okay, that's good. That is good. More thrust, more thrust. Pitch up a bit. Getting too close to apoapsis. There we go. Lock that back on the prograde probably again. May not be the prettiest orbit, but it's going to be what it's going to be. Good enough. More than good enough, in fact. Okay. I am pleased with that. Now, what do we got? We got 563 meters per second, and according to my math, I only need 422 to get this job done. So that is making me feel pretty good. Now, whew, that was a long time to get to this stage of all of this, but what I want to look at, this is the one that's already up there. So we're going to set that as a target. We're going to turn off all this other nonsense. I don't know what, oh, I know what that is. Okay. Turn off everything else and concentrate just on this. So what I want is I want to get my apoapsis up to the same apoapsis as this, which is 672.6 kilometers. But I want to do it in such a way so that this thing, once I have 8 of these satellites up here, so that this will be not pretty much in the middle of 2 of them. That's my challenge I'm going to give myself for no reason other than to just do that. Now, you can do that by just doing some, okay, so a little bit of thinking here. We're going to put 8 satellites up here. 360 divided by 8 is 20. Yep. No, it's 45 degrees. So I want my satellite to be 22.5 degrees from this satellite. Now, thankfully, Kerbal Engineer does give you something to help. So we're going to edit that second HUD, because I think that's where I have my, yes. Edit that second HUD. We're going to go to Rendezvous, and in here somewhere should be an intercept angle, please. I didn't find my stuff last time. Is it the transfer angle? Not the phase angle. I think it's the transfer angle is the one I want. Okay. So the transfer angle, if I am interpreting that correctly, and people were telling me I already had period up here. I still don't see period. Okay. Oh, there it is. Orbital period. Oh, for goodness sakes. Remember at the very beginning of this stream, I spent some time looking for orbital period. Okay, sorry. Let me fix that so I know where that is, because I'm going to be needing orbital period very soon. There we go. Okay, orbital period right there. Okay, that's for later. Right now, where is my transfer angle? When your transfer angle gets down to 0, that means that you are in the right spot to intercept with your craft. When that transfer angle gets down to 12.5 degrees, that means you're in the right spot to be 12.5 degrees ahead of your craft. That's all it is. So this transfer angle will help me get, when I transfer up there, this all into the right spot. So what I want to do is just get an idea of how much time this burn's going to take. I'm not going to necessarily do it here. But this is, you know, that's the kind of burn I'm going to need to do. Actually, that's another way to do this too. I'm just thinking and oh shoot, I know another idea. This will get me into approximately the right spot. We're going to do a combination of maneuver node. Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited now. Let's put a maneuver node here. Oh. Maneuver node. Bring it all the way around to here. There we go. Okay, pop. I got a feeling I want to get the intercept. There it is. There's the intercept with my target. You can eyeball this to be, just get those two to be, you know, 12.5 degrees apart. If I grab this and go about, no, I gotta go this way. About here-ish? Oh my gosh, I can't tell if that's 12. I'm looking at the angle from this to this. I don't know, somewhere in there. Main reason I'm doing this, though, is to get an idea that it's going to take 27 seconds for me to do this burn. Split that in half, it's about 14 seconds. So what I want to do, this is going to be a disaster, I can tell. What I want to do is look at this transfer angle. I might have the wrong one because I'm noticing it's not changing. I have the wrong angle. And I should have looked at all this ahead of time. Okay, let's go back to rendezvous. Transfer angle's the wrong one. Phase angle's just a flat out phase angle. I remember doing this a long time ago. Okay, I'm going to take transfer angle out because it's obviously not what I think it is. So it should be changing. Oh, the maybe that in phase angle. Let's put in the phase angle. Maybe it's when the phase angle gets to the transfer angle. So I want to be 12 degrees ahead of the transfer angle. I'm going to call this 59 degrees plus 12 degrees is 71 degrees. So 12 seconds before this gets to 71 degrees, I'm going to burn. Am I flying from the seat of my pants or what? That's what I'm doing. 71 degrees. If this works, I'm going to be stunned. Okay, lock that on prograde. Give me my orbital info. I want my apoapsis. I got to remember 172.6. I'm ignoring this time to burn. I don't care. Just going to lock on prograde right here. Okay. I want this to be 72, but 12 seconds ahead of being 72. That's a little bit trickier, isn't it? And I'm sure I'm being 100% confusing. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, that's 74. Let's put that on prograde. Punch it. There we go. We're off. For good or ill, we're off. So I'm going until this is 672.6 kilometers. Completely ignoring the maneuver node. .6. I went a little bit too far. Let's turn down that thrust limiter, flip around into retrograde, completely ignore this. Oh, I got some mighty reaction wheels in there. That's good. Okay. So now let's go into the second part of this. So again, I want to be off by a little bit. So the fact that these maneuver nodes are a little off, that's exactly what I want, because I don't want to rendezvous with this. And then up here, I need to create an orbit that has a period that is 3/4 of what my final period was going to be. Now this is why I made this the period of this satellite a nice number. It was 80 minutes, did that right at the very beginning of the video. So 3/4 of 80 is 60 minutes. And what's really nice with the stock game is if you have the maneuver nodes selected with the stock tools that are down here at the bottom, with the maneuver nodes, this is telling me what the period is of my resulting orbit. So I don't have to actually, right? I want this to be an hour. So this should be just 1 hour and 0 seconds right there. That's not the period that's being given up here. That's giving my current period. Oh, I do have, oh my gosh, getting back in, oh no, you know what, I'm good. And according to my calculations, that periapsis should be around 228.5. 228.8, that's pretty good. All right, so now we need to get up there and just perform that maneuver. Get our period up to the right thing, and then we're going to be dropping satellites, and then we're going to be doing all kinds of fun. So let's do that. So, actually, yes, I know what we're going to do. Let's get up there. The first thing we're going to do is drop a satellite. Then we're going to do the maneuver. Oh boy, lots of things. There'll be a lot of things happening all around the same time. A lot of things happening all around the same time. And I'm sure there's stuff going on in the chat about my sketchy math. but I am sort of concentrating. Well, I guess I could let this go. What's going on? Chat here. No, actually, I want this to be, yeah, set to retrograde. That's right. For now. Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make this burn. But before I make this burn, I want to drop a satellite. Ooh, maybe I don't, though. No, because I don't know if this satellite has the ability to do the circularization. I probably didn't put enough. No, we're going to do this burn. I was going to drop the satellite first, then do the burn into this higher orbit, but I don't know if I gave enough delta V for the satellite to this top satellite to... I might not have. So we're going to go around prograde again. Ooh, here comes my phase angle. If this phase angle gets to be 12.5 degrees when I'm up to do this burn, I'm going to be a happy camper because that's what I was shooting for. Okay, I'm going to get this all ready to go. Put this on the maneuver node. We're going to have a lot of things happening really quick. Look at this phase angle, 12.2 degrees. I'm still about 2 minutes away. I think that I did that all pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy. I wanted it to be, oh, did I say 12? 22 and a half. That's why that's coming up. Don't you mean 22 and a half, says Dino in the chat? Yeah, I messed that up. So my thought process was right. My arithmetic sucks. Not much I can do about that now. So I was thinking right. See, 12 and a half degrees, but this should be 22 and a half. Oh, well. Oh, well. None of this is critical. This is all just about the aesthetics of when this thing is up here. But maybe I'll shuffle around the satellites when this is all said and done and pretend I did it right. Okay, so... We're going to do this burn, and then we're going to drop a satellite. That's the whole plan. And what I'm really looking at with this burn is this period. Actually, I can look at Kerbal Engineer. It gives me the period to like 1,000th of a second, which I'll obviously never ever do. Oh, just a second. My thrust limiter is really low. That would be dumb. There we go. I knew something didn't look right. Let's get a little closer. Well, now I can just lock it to prograde. Okay, start a little early, just don't go to full thrust. And again, it's that orbital period I'm really looking at. I want it to be 60 minutes. And I'm looking at Kerbal Engineer up there at the top. Good, okay. We're going to turn this thrust limiter way down. Do it the rest of the way here. So 58 seconds. 59 seconds. And 60. There we go. Within 1/10 of a second, that is exactly an hour. So now we got to go out to here. Let's aim our camera out this way. We got to circularize, drop and circularize this first satellite. Aim camera. There we go. So we're going to want to extend these solar panels. We're going to want to extend this antenna. We're going to want to decouple. We want to control from here. Oh, I don't have that switch to there. I just had the camera aimed up here. Control from here. Where's our control from here command? Control from here. Oh, of course, now I have it. Dope. And let's see here. Activate our engine. Maybe I should have given a little bit of... There we go. I don't know why that shroud is still there. I don't like that. There it goes. It's good. It's good. It's good. Okay. So now this guy wants to get up to an orbital period of 80 minutes. So we'll say goodbye to you. Up you go. I know it's not quite the perfect time to do this because we're a little bit past, but that's okay. Not a lot of thrust on this little engine. Yikes. Okay. Okay, reduce throttle. I'm going to even perfectify this just a little bit more by turning that throttle way down, swinging this around to retrograde. I went 0.2 of a second over, so we're just going to back off a little bit. There we go. That's beautiful. There's only so far you're willing to take this. Okay, so that is that satellite. It should be ready to go. We should be able to turn on. The infrared telescope is already on, so it's doing its thing. I'm probably way too far away from that other vehicle. I am. Is this my fella? Yes. So we're going to switch to... Actually, yeah, we'll just... Before I do that, I don't want all these to have the same name, so let's rename this. Infra probe. This is the infra B. This is now the C. Actually, this one can be the B, and then the final, and the next one can be the C, and the first one, yeah, that's making more sense. Okay, so switch to you. All right, so now hopefully this will start making sense to people. I'm sorry my math was as stinky as it was, but we'll wait to get to our other vessel here. Here we are. This should hopefully now make some sense to what's going to happen here. We'll turn off. Unset that as a target. This is us. Let's set this one as a target so we can keep seeing it. We'll turn that off. So now what's happening is the satellite we just dropped is in an 80-minute orbit. We should be in a 60-minute orbit. We still are. So what's going to happen is, because 60 is 3/4 of 80, as we go around Kerbin here, that we should end up exactly a 1/4 orbit ahead of this guy. So we're picking up some speed. Actually, we'll be 3/4 of an orbit ahead, but you know, it all kind of works. So now we're coming up to here. Actually, no, we're going to be a 1/4 orbit ahead. You see how this is working? I'm going to stop a few minutes before we get to apoapsis. So you can see how this is working now. This should be now a 1/4 orbit here, and then we're going to drop another satellite. We're going to put it in its orbit. This guy's just going to keep riding around and dropping satellites. That's all it needs to do. We're a few minutes away from apoapsis, so let's get ready to drop our next one. And this should now go with a lot less rigmarole. So we're going to deploy this satellite here, or this antenna, extend that. I think I'm not going to do the solar panels just yet because I'm a little bit nervous with the whole getting it out of this thing. So keeping it approximately pointing prograde is good because that's the direction I want to go. So we're going to decouple this. Okay. And now I should be able to, I think I'm still on the main thing. tilt this towards the north. Whoa, 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 that's the wrong one. How did I end up on you? I went on you. Tilt this towards the north, and now I can free you. Be free! Be free! I wasn't on the vehicle I thought I was. Now I can go back to this one. Now I'll extend these. Extend. Extend. Okay, and now we just got to get ready to put this fella into its orbit. We're still a couple of minutes from apoapsis. Actually, what I can do, let's use my KOS script. Run circ at apo. Let's start making this more efficient here. Oh, okay. So I'm in the wrong switch to 0 for some reason. Okay. Run circ at apo. It's not finding the program. I don't think my boot file did what I thought it should. Okay. Activate this engine. Run Xman. Now this might be a little bit off here. Let's turn this off. Might not be quite the period I want. Again, I want an 80-minute period because I just got, but it should be really close, and then we'll just tweak it. I got to get my programs to do something right here. So the reason why it had the trouble there is I thought that second boot file copied programs like this into this hard drive, but clearly it did not. So I had to switch to the main drive. There we go. Bye-bye. We'll see how close this gets to 80 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes. And you can see how this works, and then it's going around again. Drop the next one, drop the next one, and all of these, this should be pretty much... Well, I can't see the other satellite now. Oh, there's too many satellites. This is the one we're talking about. That's A. There's B. This is a quarter of an orbit? I think so. Well, here, I just set the phase angle. The phase angle is 274. That's a little disappointing. Oh, well. It should be 270. Oh, I think I know maybe why. I don't know. I think I know why. Might go back and fix it. What time is that? No. I know why that happened. It's because I started my burn at a crappy time. It's slightly elliptical. I got a slightly elliptical burn. Look at that. 120.01. Tiny, tiny little bit overdid. But we will turn this around. Go like that. Bring this down to a little bit more. 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 0.001 seconds. You're not going to get any better than that. This, again, should be running already the infrared telescope and sending us data. And we're going to rename you. Where's your rename thing? Command. This is now the C. Guess what my next one's going to be called? Yep. I know, yes, I see what's happened here. I'm going to switch back to my target just quickly and explain why my phase angle's a little bit off. 273 or 274 rather than 270. And we'll do a quick little fix. And the reason is because I began this guy's orbital insertion He's only got 26 meters per second left. I got to be a little careful. But began this guy's orbital insertion a little late after apoapsis and just burned till my period was right. And what that means is, if I turn all this off, is that this orbit is slightly eccentric from what it should be. See that? The apoapsis is too high and the period in the periapsis is too low. I can fix that. With a burn, it would have to be right around here. That's radial. I'm a little bit concerned. See how that's bringing down the periapsis and bringing down the apoapsis, making this more circular. But I don't have the fuel for it. So we're going to have to just live with that. That's too bad. Don't have the fuel to fix it. That's what it is. Okay, so life is full of disappointments. Let's get back onto our main vehicle. Which is you. So I'll switch to you. All right. Yeah, lot going on in the chat, but it's hard to kind of concentrate on what's going on here and what's going on in the chat. Yeah, I actually like, there's a comment about adding in, but I actually do try and minimize in this stream the number of non-stock parts. That's done deliberately. I have Restock installed, which really does do a great job of filling in the gaps, but then not a lot of other non-stock parts, and I kind of prefer it that way. It's sort of done intentionally. We're gonna have to go around again and get another. Drop another satellite. That's done rather intentionally because I like to build things that other people can look at and sort of say, hey, I can do that. I can do that. I don't get into a huge number of other part mods, at least for this stream. Okay, we're coming up towards our apoapsis again. I'm going to repeat. We're about 3 minutes away. Okay, we are going to drop this fella. So extend that antenna. Decouple. And again, tilt towards the north, south here. And yeah, there we go. Now I got the right one. Let's roll so I don't hit the solar panels. Whoops. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. There we go. Okay. And switch over to the other fella. Here we go. Activate this engine. Extend the solar panels. Again, KOS. So many probe cores. So I'm just curious, what programs are in here? None. Okay. Did not. Okay, I gotta look at my boot files. Switch to 0. 0 is the archive, which is your computer, which has all the programs you've written. So that's always the defaults to go back there. Run. What am I doing at? Circat. Apo. Okay. And run. There we go. So we're about to say goodbye. What? Little close. Should be okay. All right, and let's time warp a little bit here. Whoa, whoa, we're gonna be close. They're drifting together. I should have given it a little puff away before I threw it to the automation, but I'm thinking it's gonna be okay. It's a very tiny engine. Not a lot of heat coming off of there. 2, 1, go. Bye-bye. That wasn't very professional. Okay. So we got one more to drop. And then we'll deorbit this. That guy should have enough left to deorbit once it's done its last vessel. Or its last, yeah, dropped its last satellite. And then in the interim, I'll drop another 4. And then there'll be 9 of them up here, all collecting that sweet, sweet infrared telescope science. Which will still run for a few years, but hopefully during those few years it's giving me a steady stream of science for pretty much nothing. And I was hoping to get into my moon thing, but clearly that's not going to happen this week, but it will happen. That's going to be what we start with next week, is my moon asteroid base. Okay, just got to correct again, just knock off 0.2 of a second. That's good enough. Okay, that is that one. And again, so many. Oh wait, I gotta rename you. I've done, that was A, B, C, this one's D. I hate it when it says just like probe. That always bugs me. Octo 5D. Accept that. Okay. And switch to you. Put it here again for solar panel purposes. We got one more satellite left to drop. And then that's the end of the story. So I know there's a lot of junk going on here, but hopefully, maybe if I go here, let's unselect that target. Can I do that from here? No. Oh, that one's, what's the target now? Unset target. There we go. So we're getting, if you can see, ignore this one. That's just a piece of nonsense. So we got this guy going around to do one more pass. It should fall right into the nice space between this satellite and this satellite. We have this one, which is unfortunately, oh no, it's this one that's in a bad orbit. A little bit there. So the orbits are a little messy. Oh, no more electricity on Roadmate 1. I really don't care. But hopefully people can sort of see. I got 5 satellites here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I want to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 more. But I'll do that between the streams, not right now. Okay, let's see here. We're going to extend this antenna. We're gonna, oh, I cannot lower those solar panels. So I'm a little bit, oh, it'll be what it'll be. Let's make sure I'm controlling from here. Okay, we're going to detach. And then we're gonna move this fella to the south so we can sneak you out. This is the one I was worried about. So I got, okay, it's going to go that way. I'm perfectly fine with it going that way, too. I think there was some clipping going on there. But honestly, I'm going to go with it. I don't care. It's out. That's all that matters. Here we are. Hello, fella. You're good. Activate the engine. Again, we'll get KOS to do the orbital insertion part here. All right, and this is off. And then once this one is inserted, we'll deorbit this. And it should have enough fuel left, especially now that it's gotten rid of all the weight of all of those satellites. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. I'm seeing the point in the chat is left to its own devices. One of these takes, probably still says it here. Auto data, infrared telescope. It's collecting it, and this fella, at the rate at which it's doing it, does it say here? Running. It'll take over 82 years to do it, but with 9 of them, well, that's now less than 10 years. That's the best that I'm going to do. I don't think it's great, but it is what it is. If I had a faster antenna, it would be able to do it faster, but unfortunately, I do not have a faster antenna. So this is my way around trying to bring that number down to something reasonable. Oh, talking about having it so there's always 2 seeing the same. I don't think where these things are pointed makes any difference. I am more than happy. To be honest, there'll always be, because there's going to be 8 of them, there'll always be a few of them that are more or less on the same side of Kerbin. I'm happy with that. You can pretend that the telescopes can all point the same way. Yeah, it's I am using very much a strategy with relay satellites. Unfortunately, I messed up with, first of all, not carrying a 10. So these two are too close together. And also, this orbit, this one here, is in a bad orbit. And I don't have the delta V to fix it. The other one should be actually in pretty decent orbits. But this one's in a stinky orbit. Okay, and we're renaming this one. I believe this one would be the E. Accept. Close that. That's done. How did my period come out? It is 0.3 of a second off. Again, over. I gotta be honest, just by throwing that at KOS that it comes as close as it does, I'm kind of impressed. But we will just take a little off of that. That period is close to, there we go, 0.003 of a second off from 80 minutes. I think that will be fine. That is that. So that is it for our insertions for today. And I want to get back and just deorbit this guy who's done a great job. So this guy has done a great job dropping all 4 of them. Again, between the 2 streams, I'm going to launch another one and put up 4 more. So there'll be a total of 9. But for now, this one's job is done. We're simply going to burn in a retrograde direction. Put that thrust limiter up. Get our periapsis down into Kerbin. So we don't have to look at that anymore. There we go. This one is on its way to its demise. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a 5th one over here. And ignore you. I should delete that one. I know it's garbage anyway. But I think with that, though, I'm going to be drawing this stream to a close. I'm sorry that it turned into a little bit more of an exercise that I was originally anticipating. I guess that really shouldn't be all too surprising given my history. I usually don't get done as much as I hope to get done. But starting next week, I do want to devote the next 2 streams to trying to build that asteroid moon base and getting that going. I'm not going to allow myself to be distracted by anything else. But in the meantime, I want to thank everybody that's in the chat. I want to thank everybody that's watching this at a later date. And of course, as always, a very special thank you to my Patreon patrons and YouTube members who help to support this channel. Thank you, everybody. Have yourself a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you all next Thursday. Bye.